Next question, question 5. Abubakar received £8 for his birthday. This must be a long time ago. How much did he receive if £1 is 450 naira? Okay, let's solve this together. Abubakar received £8 for his birthday. How much did he receive if £1? So if £1 is equal to 450. Okay, you always start with the units. 1 unit, a pound is 450. So if you received £8, this is proportion, direct proportion. If £1 is 450, that means £8 will be more. So that's how you know the difference between direct proportion and indirect proportion. If £1 is 450, 8 will be more. So you multiply. Is that okay? £8 will be 450 times 8. So we have 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, you move your 4 that way. Then 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 4 is what? 36. Always cross-check your work. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 5 is 40. 4 times 8 or 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 4 is 36. So our answer is 3,600 naira. Cross-check your work. How much did you receive if £1 is there? So your answer should be in naira. The next question. Find the odd numbers between 17 and 34. That is a multiple of 11. Find the odd numbers between 17 and 34. That is a multiple of 11. So there are two things you're doing here. You're finding the odd numbers. Okay. Odd numbers are numbers that cannot be divisible by 2. That means if you divide it by 2, you are going to get a remainder. If you divide the number by 2 and there is no remainder, the number is an even number. If you get a remainder, then it is an odd number. So odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, and so on. Then the next question says, it must be a multiple of 11. Okay, so let's do the odd number first. So we have 17. Between, so 17 will be out of it because we're not told if it's inclusive. So we have 17. After 17 is what? 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31, and then we have 33. Okay, so 34 is not inclusive because 34 is an even number. You can divide 34 by 2. If you divide 34 by 2, there is no remainder, so it's an even number. Okay, look at these numbers now. Which one is a multiple of 11? That means if you multiply 11 by any number, you are going to get any of the numbers here. So that's the meaning of multiple. Okay, so 11 times 1 is 11. There is no 11 here. 11 times 2 is 22. There is no 22 here. In fact, 22 is an even number. 11 times 3 is what? 33. So that is our answer. 33 is our answer. 33 is a multiple of 11. So the multiples of 11 are 11, 22, 33. What's the next one? 11 times 4 is what? 44, and so on. So that is how you get your multiple. Let's move to the next question. So the answer here is 33. The next question says, find the sum of the square root of 625 and the square of 9. This question is very tricky. Do you know that? So this teaches us the lesson that we should always read your question and understand it before you start solving. Find the sum of this. Number 1, sum. Number 2, square root. So you're finding the square root of 25, but you are going to find the square of 9. A lot of people will miss this question because they will just assume it's square root of 9. No, you can easily find the square root of 9, right? But 9 is the square. Okay, so let's start. The square root of 625. How do we find square roots? Okay, you can use different ways. Okay, in case you don't know how to find square roots, let's just go ahead and do this. So you look for a number that can divide 625. The smallest number is what? 5. But if you know that 25 can divide, you can go ahead and use 25. So 5 in 6, you have 1. You bring 1 here. 5 in 12 is what? 2. Remainder 2. So 5 in 25 is 5. And what else can divide? 5 can divide. 5 is the smallest prime factor that can divide 125. So you have 5 in 12 is 2. Remainder 2. 5 in 25 is what? 5. What is the smallest number prime number that can divide 25? That's 5. 5 in 25 is 5. What is the smallest number that can divide 5? That is 5. 5 in 5 is 1. So how do you get, after getting these factors, how do you get your square root? Because it's square, you pair. So this is 1, 5. And this is another 5. Then you multiply. 5 times 5 is what? 25. So the square root of 625 is 25. The square root of 625 is 25. If you are asked to find the cube root, then you take it in what? Threes. But if it's square root, you take it, you pair it up. So 2 of this will give you 1, 2 of this will give you 1, because 5 squared is 25, 5 squared is 25. I hope you understand that. Then the next step is the square of 9. The square of 9 is what? This is where you need to know your multiplication table. If not, you'll not find it easy. You start counting zeros. That will be a long time. So it's good for you at this point to learn your multiplication table. 9 times 9 is 81. Having found the square of 9, the next is to find the sum of the square root of this and the square root of that. The square root of 625 and the square of 9. So we have to add. Sum means add. So we have 25 plus 81. Okay? 5 plus 1 is 6. 2 plus 8 is 10. Cross-check your work. Okay, you can just do a rough check. 20 plus 80 is 100. Okay, 5 plus 1 is 6. So we are correct. Next question. 8 men can plow a field in 10 hours. This is a question of men at work. 8 men can plow a field in 10 hours. How long will it take 4 men if they all work at the same rate or at the same pace? So what do? Always understand your question when you are dealing with proportion, to know if it's a direct proportion or an indirect proportion. This one now looks like an indirect proportion. So let's check. If men are working, if you have 8 men working, if the number of men reduces, what will happen? They will need more time. Am I correct? So if you reduce the number of men, you will need more time. If you reduce the number of men, you need more time. So that is an example of what? An indirect proportion or an inverse proportion. So let's solve that. How do you solve it when it is not when it is not a direct proportion like this? How do you solve it? So you have 8 men. 8 men are plowing a field and it takes them 8 hours. So the next thing is to find how long it will take 1 man. Always do this when you are learning how to do it. 1 man, it will take 1 man more hours. So when it's more hours, you multiply. When it's less, you divide. Okay, so in this case, we are multiplying. 10 times 8 will give you what? 80. So if a man is plowing the field, it will take this man 80 hours. So look at the difference. Question 5 is direct proportion. You multiply. Okay, 1 pound gives you 450. 8 will give you 450 times 8. Here, 1 man, you are going to multiply because that man needs more hours. Okay, so for 4 men, now 4 men will now need less number of hours. So if 1 man is 80, 4 will be less. So when it is less, you will divide. 80 hours divided by 4 will give you what? How many 4 can you get in 8? 2, and then your 0. That will give you 20. So it is very important you understand the question before you start solving. This is an indirect proportion, so it's going to be the other way around. You have 8 men. It's taking 8 men 10 hours. when you have 4 men, they are reduced. So they need more hours to work. They need more hours. 4 men need more hours. So it is expected that this number of hours should increase. If it doesn't increase, that means you have not solved it well. Maybe you have used direct proportion, so you have to check again. Next question now.